Greetings, Ladder with Crowder viewers. Hopper here. It has been brought to my attention that many of you have not yet joined Mug Club and are only watching this on YouTube, where the flagrant disregard for freedom of exchange of ideas and speech is a growing plague the likes of which we've never seen. The only way to fight back against YouTube and the lamestream media, some people call it mainstream, I call it lamestream, is by joining up at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Not only does your support help back in the fight against leftism and Big Squirrel, but you get access exclusively to Louder with Crowder's daily program, along with the entire CRTV lineup and Not Gay Jared's and Courtney's Morning Grinders. What? And of course, Mug Club is good for doggos too. Not only does it go to Hopper's vet bills, but as proven in clinical trials, Mug Club enhances pet food nutrition absorption by 44%. I freaking love Mug Club! So what are you waiting for, America? You too can enjoy all the benefits of Mug Club for only $99 annually. $69 for students, veterans, or active military. Sign up at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub today.
That was my dramatic stare. In case you didn't notice, we went from Kata. This is something that it's the David Hasselhoff.
Oh,
I had a friend who was an actor in Canada, and that was
one more time. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I had a friend in Canada. I swear to you, he would get every B-budget horror film role, and every time it would just be he would just walk in and go, and he'd get the job,
and then die.
And then he'd sleep with the hot chick in the movie and then die. Glad to be with you. Producing with me in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared. Me at SCrowder. If I feel my legal allegations, draw your own conclusions. I don't care what you have to say. Woo! At G Morgan. We wasted too much time on the stare.
Yes.
So
it was worth it, though.
Yeah, that's what they call a weak lead.
It's Thursday. We pulled all the stops on Thursday.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Thursday, of course, for all you freeloaders. We will have IraqVeteran8888 on to talk about firearms and kind of regulations under a Donald Trump presidency, trying to teach us how to not become complacent because it still is a right you need to fight for. We'll have Ben Shapiro talking about healthcare. Mike Pence's comments. We'll be talking about the transgender bills. We'll be talking about all of that. But right off the top, important news. BuzzFeed has announced that they are going public. This is true. They are going to be a publicly traded company.
Wow.
So you can buy stock in BuzzFeed.
Good enough.
And new study.
I wouldn't.
Well, new study shows that those least likely to invest in BuzzFeed stock are people who've actually read BuzzFeed. Also, this lady. She's good. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That is a house filled with cats and no men.
And no hope.
Yes, that's the sound of dreams dying and fecal matter.
Yes.
I guess fecal matter doesn't
Mostly
make a sound.
fecal matter.
Yeah, that's more the scent of fecal matter.
If it falls and it's make a sound. No, that's
What is he?
Poop humor. Back to you, Steven.
Sometimes I wonder why he's in here.
every day. I wonder.
Some call the mystery, Steven.
Sometimes I'm going, hold on, I'm signing the front of this check and he's signing the back of it. It doesn't seem right. Mike Pence is in hot water. This is all over the news today. Mike Pence and anyone where he basically said he would not dine out. He would not go out and have dinner with someone who is not alone with a woman who is not his wife.
Sexist bastard.
And his wife, she went on to say, she said she is always with him if there's a public situation where alcohol is involved. This was trending all day.
All day.
All day. Mike
All
Pence,
day.
Matt Walsh for commenting on it.
The outrage.
The outrage from the left, I swear. This is an actual paragraph. Can we bring this up from Slate? referring to it as a pretty radical retrograde mindset on the part of its adherents, one that doesn't respect women as humans with thoughts and skills to contribute, but rather sees them primarily as sexual temptations. Really? You got all that? I swear, this happened in the office today. You saw with Aaron, the intern, and BuzzFeed newsletter before. This was Jared reading the Slate article earlier today in the office. Didn't know he was being filmed.
You. We knew that Trump's administration was one of the most heavy, male-heavy in recent history. Now we know that coincidence. Are you shitting me? Why do you take everything beautiful about, like, decent respect the Christian man has for women and turn it into complete and utter bullshit? Push your gender wage gap. Women are blah, now, them. We gotta talk about this. Are you filming this?
Yes, Jared. And of course, Jezebel had their piece to write. The leftist outrage over this was okay. Let me tell you something. I adhere by this. Not only as a Christian, which is pretty mainstream in most Christian denominations, but it's not a hard and fast rule, but also as a public figure. It's just, especially now if we're talking about women in college, you see the Lena Dunham and the Amy Schumer stories and UVA and Mattress Girl where people just come out and can claim anything. You really should be out as publicly as possible with as many people as possible. The last thing you need is just someone saying something.
Yeah. That's a rule like 101 working in church stuff. Like you just don't do stuff. Like I used to give guitar lessons to churches, and even like no matter any of my students, no matter what gender, like you have to protect yourself these days.
Yeah.
You have to have a guard up against those kind of things because it happens all the time. All it takes is it's your word against theirs.
Well, they teach the same thing with teachers and students, right? Because it's a position of authority. And by the way, what is a greater position of authority other than president and vice president of the United States?
He shows profound respect for his wife by doing this. And he gets raked over the coals.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Nobody's putting that other side and going, oh, maybe he's not a jerk. Maybe he's just being really cool to his wife. So she never has to wonder if that position of power is corrupting him.
Well, the whole thing is they're like, well, it means he can't trust himself without what, like he can't trust himself without raping. It's not like he's demanding she wear a hijab, and if a woman shows, calf, we're saying that she deserves it. Yeah. He's just saying he's a man. There could be temptations there. There could also be the appearance of something that's not going on, and out of respect for his wife, he's not going to put her in that. Even if you don't agree with it, and I know that a lot of people don't, and I get that. And if your wife is cool with it, a lot of wives are, a lot of wives aren't. That's fine. That's your decision. But I don't understand the outrage over this.
No. To me, it's just a fabrication of not only connecting dots that shouldn't be connected, but it's fabricating dots completely. So it's like, oh, you like holding the door open for your wife. So you like raping women too, I bet?
That's the natural next step, right?
You like complimenting women on their looks. I bet you beat them behind closed doors, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, you pulled the chair out for her? Do you want me to get the chloroforming rag while I'm at it? Huh? Patriarchal
There's
piece.
just no safe place for a guy anymore. We can't do anything right. I think
No.
they just want the world to not have us in it. That'd be fine for them.
By the way, that's actually a true story. I had a friend who she competed at the Abu Dhabi Grappling Championships. It wasn't actually, I don't think it was in Abu Dhabi. It might have been in Dubai because they switch it every 2 years. And her boyfriend, Brazilian, just opened the door for her and put his hand on the small of her back, guiding her through the door. And they came out and they educated him. You don't do that here.
Ooh.
You don't do that.
You make us all look bad.
Yeah. So you don't do that. You go in first. Just by the way, if we're talking about outrage, again, this is very common practice in most Christian denominations. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's generally taught as good practice. And it is something adhered to by every single practicing Muslim on the face, practicing Muslim male on the face of the earth. They're not only do they not go out to eat with someone who's not their wife, unless they do a temporary marriage, what they do with a prostitute, and then say divorce, divorce, divorce. I didn't mean it. But not only that, they're not allowed. Hey, you want to get married? Not.
Too
I
late.
do. Oh, it's too bad we only had sex. You're destitute. So
I think your children.
10 seconds later.
they're not even allowed to touch their wives in public in a romantic way.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, this is horrible for a Christian or take your pick, just Westerner to not want to go out and dine publicly with a woman who's not his wife. This happens from Islam. No outrage. Also, no outrage over the fact that they're still allowed to do this.
Silly Ahmed.
character.
Silly Ahmed.
Anyway, you can tweet me at @SCrowder if you find it outrageous. We'll talk about it more with Ben Shapiro. It's a total non-controversy, and they are. Can you believe it? It's just one of those things now. This is where if I'm talking about someone publicly, right? If we don't have to do a whole segment on it, can you believe he said that? Yes, and I move on with my day. Just try and practice this. Okay, here's another one while we're talking about this. Education and white privilege. So Oxford University is now replacing portraits of 20 people with more women, people of color, to try and promote greater diversity. So I want to layer that with another story that just came out of Los Angeles. 9 schools are in danger of losing funding because the percentage of non-white students has dipped below 70%. There was a 1978 LA Superior Court ruling that deemed schools or neighborhoods with large minority populations, they get more funding if white students, if the population is below 70%. So we have this story at Oxford, then we have this happening with American schools. This is to me, the proof positive that the left often see things through the prism of race, sex, gender, and they see that as the root cause of all of these actions. So, for example, there are a lot of white men who decorate the halls of Oxford. Throughout history, they've done great things for the university, but not because they are white men. They happen to be white men. And now let's apply that to kids in Los Angeles schools right now who are going to a crappier, less safe school, and they're being told it's because you're white. We're like, well, hold on a second. Because I just happen to be white. And so you're going to create an entire generation of little racists running around Los Angeles. American History X has got a sequel coming on down the pike.
Jeez.
It is unreal to me that this is, again, not everything has to be about race or is created by race. Sometimes it's incidental, but the left wants to define us by race. Again, with Mike Pence, they want to define us by our genitals. I can't believe Mike Pence would say this about a woman. Isn't that sexist? I can't believe we have pictures of white men. Isn't that racist? Not necessarily.
I'm confused though. Did you not receive your white behavior manual at birth? I got that, my birth certificate, social security card,
White privilege card.
Yes.
And well, the card comes, you have to kind of, you turn 8 or 9 usually when you get that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the ARP, but better.
Black people don't know this. The ATM is just a money machine for white people.
They do.
There's no limit.
Yeah.
Just get there.
We don't even have to put anything in.
I'm swiping a card. Beep, 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 beep.
Says, you are overdrafted. And I just go, no, I'm white. Oh. Apologies.
50s it is.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny though that everything you hear is like, it's not about gender, it's not about race, it's about who you are and it's about what you bring to the table.
Right.
Except if you're a white male Christian.
Yeah.
And then you're just a horrible person.
And here's the thing too. I mean, we have a pretty diverse group of people who work for the site and work for this show. People from different countries. Obviously, we have plenty of women, plenty of men, younger, older.
Jews.
This is true as well. And it's not the first thing that crosses your mind. We deal with the work. For example, you would think this would be the case in what's supposed to be meritocracy, like university, like Oxford. Or you would think that people who want to look out for the best interests of children would want to look out for the best interests of children. Well, won't you please do it for the children, teachers? They love kids. Really?
Yeah.
Well, and just doesn't matter if he's white? Well, yeah, we need more people of color. What? Well, we need to, otherwise we can't get that federal money. Shouldn't you care about all children equally? And what you don't understand is kids right now, and this is why Generation Z is going to be more conservative than any before it. And what do I mean by that? You need to look at baby boomers. They're the most conservative generation now. When they were younger, they were pot-smoking hippies in San Francisco. They were pretty left. Generation Z, meaning below millennials, for their current age bracket, are the most conservative of any in several generations. And a big reason for that is these kids don't understand. They're so far removed not only from slavery or the Civil Rights Act or even Rodney King. All they know is, hold on a second. We literally get less money and I have to go through a metal detector at school. They have to wand me down just because my last name sounds Polish? And I wasn't replaced with a black guy on the docket? You're going to raise a generation of people. They don't understand the politically correct battles going on. They don't care about your local district race or what you're doing or who you're beholden to as a voter base. They just see this for what it is, which is a blatant racism against them as young white males. And I know, I'm not saying that young white males have it hard and they're so discriminated against. I'm just trying to give you the perspective, kind of like at Mizzou when that girl ran up and said, I love your white tears, I love your white tears. That guy's not sitting there going like, wow, gosh, I should really check myself because I think I harbored some... No, he's going, oh my gosh, this is a horrible human being and she hates me because I'm white. It goes both ways on that front, and this could have a serious rebound effect, which I don't want to see. So get your crap together, Oxford and LA.
Yeah.
All right, apparently you guys don't have anything to say. House Bill 2 in North Carolina is going to be repealed, for those of you know, in a compromise that apparently no one wants, no one's happy with. Yes. Conservatives don't like it. And look at I don't even, your guess is as good as mine on the left. I didn't even see this. Is that, okay, I guess that's a girl. And they got the person in the middle?
I don't know about that one. That one's tough.
And you know what's crazy about this? People look at that and that's front page news everywhere, and people watch that. They go, "Oh, I guess there's a really big trans community." It's 0.01% of the population, but in that picture, you can't guess the sex of anyone. Only where that picture was taken is that the actual case.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. They're actually just going to reset the laws. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't understand, and I don't know that the 5 people that this bill affected in the first place really even cared about it.
Right.
I'm like, are you serious?
Well, this is why no one's really happy about it, because it resets the laws. So in other words, the North Carolina law where you have to use the bathroom according to your gender that was assigned at birth, or as everyone else says, how you were born. So it rolls that back. But it also rolls back localities having the ability to pass anti-discrimination laws until 2020. So a lot of people need to understand this, because you have some ignorant people who go out and say, well, I don't know, in North Carolina, no one cared before that. Well, the reason that the state got involved was because of Charlotte saying you could not request a transgender person to use a bathroom of their corresponding biological sex if it made your clientele uncomfortable. So when the city said, you have to serve anyone in any bathroom that they want to use at that given moment, and there were people who were abusing it. Not all transgender people, probably very few, but there were some cases. The state stepped in. So when people say, oh, well, the state shouldn't have done that, nobody cared. Well, you need to understand the state stepped in because a city overstepped its bounds and stepped on some businesses' toes. So a lot of people don't know that history there. And this bill, now it's just basically rolling it back, has everybody pissed off.
Yeah, and it basically, I think the NCAA was one of the big pushers, like, hey, we're not going to let you guys host a championship game if you don't fix this. And this was an effort to fix that. I think the deadline was actually tomorrow for that. So the timing, the timing is actually pretty good. So, but you'll support them, right? It's just like when Chick-fil-A had their kissing. Like I went there to support them on the not gay day, whatever that day was, and it was packed. They're going to make tons of money because they stand up for principles.
Yeah, I don't. If we could get in a DeLorean, I remember the NBA made a big thing about it. I think too. Was it the NBA?
A bunch of the
NBA,
sports.
There were a bunch of states
and a bunch of things like that.
They pulled their events or pulled their.
But they're still
All-Star
saying
game.
that. They're still saying that they're gonna tell all these artists and performers not to come to the state because of what they just did.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Which is roll it all back. Let's reset this. And like, that's not enough. I just wish we could get in our DeLorean and go back to Wilt Chamberlain and tell him, watch him try and get his head around it. What? We ain't gonna play in the state. We're not gonna play in the state. Because chicks with this can't use the bathroom? And LeBron's on board with this? What? Hold on, I gotta go take a pill for my VD. Guy was riddled with it, Wilt Chamberlain. It is remarkable. And just to see how people react to this conversation in real life when they're not dealing with news shows or Tumblr blogs, we decided to make some more prank calls by popular request. Not popular request, by some people who demanded it and may or may not have my personal information. Please keep my iCloud private. Prank calls to Target to see what they do when faced.
Favorite offender.
Their favorite offender. Target when they are faced with the real life situation of unsavory characters in their bathroom. Enjoy.
Thank you for holding. This is Ashley. How can I help you?
Hi, Ashley. Are you the manager over there at that Target?
Yes, I sure am. How can I help you today?
Now, are you the manager or a shift manager who's going to try and pass me off between smoking breaks? Because we have a real problem here.
How may I help you?
My daughter went to your Target to buy a pair of pants. She had to use a bathroom, and she went in there, and she went to the bathroom, and there was someone in there offered to help her in the bathroom, but he's a man. She was met by a man who called himself Janelle and greeted her inappropriately in the ladies' restroom. Do you know anything about this?
No, I haven't heard anything about this. No one came to me and spoke to me.
Going to bathroom in the ladies' bathroom. In the bathroom for little girl. You know bathroom for little girl? This man who called himself Janelle greeted her, offered to wash her hands, and lifted his skirt and showed her what can only be described as two squirrels fighting over an acorn. My God, I had to have a discussion with my daughter that I did not plan to have until she was 14. Can you understand why I'm livid about this?
I do understand. I can definitely understand where you're coming from.
Well, what do you
we'll
plan to do
everything in
about it? My daughter thinks this person's not a man. I tell my daughter, go to the bathroom every day because otherwise you get bloated, sluggish, uncomfortable. She go to the bathroom. The only reason she found out he's a man was he was going to the bathroom in next stall, standing up.
No one's here and no one approached me or came to me with any kind of complaint. So I'm so sorry. Like, there's no one here.
I understand
so I
that
really
you don't.
Can't do anything.
I understand that you don't have a DeLorean. You can't go back in time. But what can you do to prevent this from happening to future 8-year-old girls who are just looking to take a tinkle?
Okay.
He said, I help you wash your hand, and she think that's a woman, but she come out of the bathroom. She let him help her wash her hand. She come out. I look. I see. She say, this nice woman help me wash my hand. I say, but that's a man.
Okay. And you were with her?
I was outside the bathroom. I don't go into a lady bathroom because I'm a man.
Well, I will definitely take this feedback.
Let me ask you this. Do you have any children, Ashley? Do you have any children?
I do not have any children.
Do you have any nieces or nephews?
I sure do.
How would you feel if your niece or your nephew went into a restroom and some sexual pervert offered to give them hand sanitizer? Essential Oil Thieves hand sanitizer, you know.
Yes, I understand where you're coming from.
Okay. Can I get your last name again, sir?
He can fool 8-year-old girl go into bathroom, but not fool a grown man. I'm a grown man. I say to her, I say, no, Lang Pei, that's a man. And she asked me, why does a man go to the girl's restroom? And I say, that's a good question. And so now I'm on the phone with you.
Can I get your last name again, sir?
My name is Dr. Lei Feng.
Can you spell that for me?
L-E-I Feng.
So if they approach me with some kind of complaint, we'll address it case by case, okay?
Well, this
Thank
is
you
a
for
complaint,
calling,
but how are you going to address it? This is a formal complaint. Put it in the gender-neutral suggestion box. How are we going to fix this one?
Dr. Li Feng, give me a little bit to research this. I'll give you a ring back, okay?
I will accept gift card.
Okay.
I will accept
Just
cash.
give me a little bit give me a chance to take a look at this, and I'll give you a ring back,
I
okay?
will prefer cash, but gift card can't work.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a ring back.
How much do you think you can put on gift card?
Sir, I'm going to have to take a look at it first, okay?
It sounds to me like you're trying to shirk your responsibility for letting sexual predator in ladies' bathroom.
Sir.
Next call to my lawyer.
Give me a moment.
Next call to my lawyer.
We allow people to use whatever restroom that they identify with. That's the only thing that I can tell you. If you'd like the guest relations number, I can give you that number.
I don't want the guest relations number. I have a good mind to sue the hell out of every person there at Target because you have some guy calling himself Janelle showing his private parts to my 8-year-old daughter who I'm just trying to teach the idea of fiscal responsibility and using her allowance money wisely. Instead, I have to give her a biology course, for God's sake.
Okay, you're more than welcome to have your lawyer contact us.
He's Jewish.
That's up to you.
He has a lot of vowels and consonants in his last name. End of his name is Berg.
Okay.
That not spell good time for you.
I'm sorry?
I said that not spell too good time for you.
Okay. All right, sir. Let me take a look at this, and like I said, let me get some answers for you and give you a ring back.
I hope it's for a gift card. I want to buy a Lego.
I can give you the guest relations number if you'd like to call and make a suggestion.
I thought you were the manager. Are you telling me you have no decision-making ability? Do they just pass you around like an 8-year-old girl in the restroom over there?
No, but thank you for calling. I hope you have a great day, okay?
F*** you! That's always a good time. Wait, it's over. The segment's over. You can stop laughing.
Oh, yeah.
IraqVeteran8888 coming up next. 8888, not 388s, 288s coming up next on Ben Shapiro. Stay tuned.
Dark Knight here, and thanks to my utility belt, I don't need firearms, but you do. Which is why April 8th, the Dark Knight Robin, and other special guests in Fort Worth will be attending the annual Second Amendment Awards presented by the United States Concealed Carry Association. You can buy your tickets at 2AAwards.com and enjoy an evening filled with special guests like yours truly, Stephen Crowder, Not Gay Jared, IraqVeteran8888, Colai Noir, and Tim Kennedy, and more. We'll be discussing topics like Firearm of the Year, Manufacturer of the Year, and of course firearm safety, which is most important, which is why it's pivotal that we always clear the weapon. Clear that, Robin.
Holy cow, Batman, that's loaded.
This whole time? Oh, fuck.
This is apparently robots do this a lot.
They do that a lot.
They do that a lot. Where it's like
so cool.
I think it's a defective robot.
It's so cool though.
I think it's a recalled robot.
It's a really cool dance.
I don't know what you're doing, but it's racist. Don't do that with our guests. Excited to have our next guests on. You know them on YouTube because they shoot things and blow them up. And we're excited. We're going to actually be hosting the 2A Awards in Fort Worth, Texas on April 8th with them at the Fort Worth Convention Center. They will be presenting one of the awards. I don't know if it's Firearm of the Year or if it's Firearm Manufacturer of the Year, but it's like picture like the Oscars, only it doesn't suck and Meryl Streep doesn't show up to ruin your day. You know their YouTube channel, IraqVeteran8888? But there's two of them. How are you two, gentlemen?
We're well. Great. How are you doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well, Eric and Chet. So we were just talking about this with the whole YouTube kerfuffle. You guys haven't really seen much of a change recently with gun videos.
Not terribly. Thanks for having us on again, by the way. We always love being on your show whenever we have the opportunity. It's always fun.
Well, you don't need to say that. Just go right into it.
It's true. It's from the heart.
No, it's true. It's true. You're doing good.
It hasn't really been all that bad. I think it's mainly just everybody's calling it the Trump slump. So in the gun industry, it just seems like there's a little bit of a slowdown kind of from, people aren't really fear buying anymore. They're not going out and they're worried, they're not really worried about a gun ban or anything going on. So I don't want to say they've gotten complacent, but maybe just a little bit of complacency in the marketplace.
Well, so there are two things there. A, that's scary because the Second Amendment is just one term away from being under fire again. So that's a big thing. The conference is the United States Concealed Carry Association. They're really big on that, and they're pretty hardline. There have been some firearm organizations who kind of have given some leeway to some positions where I know I would disagree. So that's why we decided to do these awards with them. But yeah, people can get complacent. First off, do you think that there will be ammo prices will go down because they surged under Obama? Obviously, Barack Obama was great for the firearm industry. Do you think we can see those kind of subside a little bit, and then we can talk about what people need to do?
I think over time you'll see the demand kind of slump down a little bit, and then supply is still kind of there because there's still a lot of production going on, and just common economics. The demand will be kind of slow, be a good supply, so prices will steadily trickle down. I think. We're already seeing that with ARs. With guns, and you see all these crazy sales on ARs going on. You can buy brand new AR-15s for less than $500 in a lot of cases now, which before they were $600-700. Or more, just depending on the time of year and what.
But is that going to be a good AR, or is that going to be like an AR like the Samsung 7 of the AR world that just blows up in your face?
Ruger AR 5.56s, $499.
Like the Smith & Wesson Sports are great options for the money. There's a lot of really good ones out there that are, $450 to $550, where you're getting a lot of good value. It's a great gun. It's just a basic kind of entry-level gun. And I think that what the gun industry is also seeing right now is they're really getting a taste of like what normal really is.
What normal demand
because there's been this just really increased demand and this surge in like new gun ownership and everything like that. And it's caused there to be almost kind of a fantasy world that the gun industry is living in. And I think now they're realizing like, hey, this is the real world. This is what the average real world is for them now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think to go back to your original question, it's almost like that on YouTube. Whereby people were really trying to seek out like a whole lot of knowledge about guns. Not to say that we're not relevant anymore, but it's like, oh, okay, well, instead of hopping on there and trying to soak up the latest gossip, I might, wait on that video a week or two until I'm bored or on the toilet or doing whatever.
Let's see what Jennifer Lawrence left mistakenly on the iCloud. That's more pressing. Yeah, exactly. So people can get complacent, but this is actually a good thing to talk about. What is it? Because it's really obvious, when President Obama was trying to ban a specific kind of ammo or throttle specific sections of the market, or if there's an Assault Weapons Ban Act, you know what your enemy is, right? You know exactly what you're fighting. People need to realize that the Second Amendment, especially if you look at the Heller D.C. case, you look at the votes against it, is just one Supreme Court case away from entirely changing. So under the era of a firearm-friendly president, what do you think are the best things that people can do so that they don't become complacent?
People have to practice what they preach.
Yep.
I mean, when it comes to like saying, hey, I'm pro-gun, I love guns, I love hunting, I love being outdoors, I love plinking with my kids, you got to get out and you have to do those things, and you have to kind of be an ambassador to the sport. Just like saying, I don't know, a guy loves fishing and all of a sudden, I'm not going to fish for the next 5 years. I mean, no, you wouldn't do that. Like if you're a hardcore fisherman, you're going to go fishing whenever, you can, right? So same thing with guns. Like, you can't just say during this whole time when everybody's trying to ban guns, oh, well, we have to do this and do that. No, you have to live that. Like it's a lifestyle. You have to embrace that lifestyle and kind of be a part of it and promote it, and I think that's important, is promoting safety and firearms ownership amongst a wide variety of people.
For sure. And also like in the political stratum as well. I mean, people are like hard on during these gun ban scares and stuff like that to contact their reps and everything and get the word out there about these things that are going on. But now everybody's just quiet and you just hear crickets out there. We've got a lot of pro-gun legislation. We've got a good opportunity to get a lot of it through in the next, couple of sessions, as long as everything works out as far as the numbers in the House and Senate.
I don't even like calling it pro-gun. I like calling it pro-freedom, pro-liberty and pro-common sense. But, like it's not. It goes way beyond guns. It's even more along the lines of like common sense.
People have just gotten quiet about it, and it's like they're really not. They just don't care. They have really become complacent, and it's just it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, might as well ride the tide while we got it.
Well, that's a good point. And also there can be a lit fuse, with policy. That could be a couple years or it could be 4 years in the making. So people always need to keep an eye on that, especially because, with President Trump, we don't exactly know what's going to happen. We see with the health care bill, too, there was once upon a time where he wasn't super pro-Second Amendment. So some things can kind of switch. People change their minds. This can occur. I do think, though, you touched on something. It's important to make it accessible. And I think you guys do a good job. For people who don't know, one of the biggest firearm channels on YouTube, IraqVeteran8888, we did a video recently where we took our EP, Scott. He's a pro-Second Amendment guy, but from Connecticut, had never even touched a firearm.
I watched that video last night. It was quite humorous.
Well, exactly. And by the way, we were not trying to dump on the guy at all. It was just to show people, like, hey, listen, this is what a lot of people outside of our echo chamber think. And, of course, right away. So they're going, you know what, you should have only put those firearms on the table, unloaded with the racks. And like, okay, hold on a second. The whole point to this video is to see, obviously we checked for security. We had people there. We have safety experts at the firearm range. You have to. It's not legal to not have them. But we wanted to show people this is what happens if someone comes across a firearm with a magazine in there. For most people, they don't know what to do. And that's not an insult. It's just there's a reality that I think a lot of people are out of touch with. And like you said, during these times, they can become complacent when there's so much education. The firearm community sometimes, though, isn't super accessible. I think that's become a problem.
It's really cool you mentioned accessibility, because that's one thing that we try to do is put out as much content as we can. Every facet of gun ownership, everything from being responsible in terms of legislation and knowing what's going on in the gun world, but then all the way down to like, hey, here's how to clean your gun. Here's how to fix this or fix that. Here's a little gunsmithing hack you can learn. Here's how to reload a certain cartridge, or here's, little reloading tricks and things that people need to know about making their own ammo, fixing their own guns. I mean, we try to kind of encompass a little bit of everything so that people can have that knowledge base accessible when they need it.
Too, it's a good wide range of content that's available for the beginner or the advanced shooter or reloader or whatnot. I mean, we cover pretty much the entire gamut of firearms ownership on the channel. So
sometimes poorly, but really, we like to think that there's something there for everybody.
No, I think there is. And that's
I watched their videos a lot when I first was getting into guns. I watched probably hours of your videos, and I know for me, like as a new shooter, I didn't want to go into a gun range and ask some old vet like all my stupid questions.
Yeah. I mean, you feel stupid. Whenever you're new at something, you can feel stupid, and I don't want people to feel stupid.
But accessibility, your videos have been incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
That's a video idea. Like questions you were afraid to ask. I think we should do that video.
The thing is, though, most gun people are just the salt of the earth, just really nice people. You can ask them anything, and they will certainly help you out.
Just not on the internet. On the internet, they will tell you everything that you have done wrong, or well, actually, that gun sucks. Oh, Walter sucks. For me, it's just you pussies need a seat. It's like, just stop.
Gun blogs are the worst.
That's just the trolls, boy.
Yeah, it is. People who were actually commenting on that video, they're like, wow, this comment section is remarkably civil. We have a few people who come in and are like, I'm an NRA certified instructor and everything you do is wrong. I'm like, you shouldn't teacup that firearm, bitch. I'm like, well, hold on. I was teaching him because he was shooting a revolver. He had to teacup, and I was like, let's just continue with that today. It's still a perfectly legitimate way to shoot.
Well, the thing is, though, is a lot of people, like, most average gun owners are not NRA instructors. So, I mean, he doesn't represent, like, the average gun person anyway. Who cares? I mean, as long as you're being safe and you're having fun and you're learning, who gives a crap if you're not doing it right, you know?
Safety
You have to learn eventually. You have to start out with something bad to learn something good. I mean...
This is true. And things often change. You know, when I went through my concealed carry course, I was taught, well, first off, this guy recommended revolvers for a lot of people. He's like a hammerless revolver because if you're not, you know, and then you have someone else say, oh, that's stupid. You shouldn't. So everyone has an opinion. But so he taught us a teacup grip because obviously with that cylinder, for people who don't know, you cannot hold it as a semi-automatic with the revolver. And that was how I learned how to shoot. He also taught a staggered stance, whereas I know now it's completely flat, you know, lined up. That's what Not Gay Jared was taught. And I don't know that either is wrong as long as you're safe and it works for you. It does seem to me, though, I will say this, and you could probably correct me, you'll probably take Jared's side, this idea that Jared learned, literally Jared shoots like this. Okay? To me, it seems like coming from...
That's an exaggeration.
Coming from boxing, right, they always want, you want to be a smaller target, and you want them to be a bigger target. And obviously, if you're wide stance, you're stable this way, but you're unstable front to back. Is that a new thing? Did I miss a memo that went out?
Really, the thing is with a perpendicular or a parallel stance to your target, the thing is you have the availability of moving. That's one big thing.
A lot of that also, like that type of stance where instructors teach that a lot, it also has to do with like old school machine gun shooting. Like you always look up some old video from the 80s of like a guy running an MP5 or something, and you always see him hunched over like that because it helps him really control that machine gun and keep it on. I mean, so it translates a little bit to that. But I've always been taught to somewhat turn your body. For one, if you do happen to get shot, it's more to go through to get your vital organs, especially if you're...
See, Jared? See? I told you! He laughs at me every time I go up there with my six-shooter.
A smaller target for someone to have to hit, and it's harder for them to get to your vitals that way if you're trained well enough to be able to use your gun effectively and turned like that.
Well, you
just have to train that way.
Right. You might be skinnier this way than you are this way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just depends.
Depends on your body type. Now, if you're as big down as you are tall, well, then I guess you just got to go for the flow,
It just goes through visceral fat. I didn't feel nothing.
I could tell a really funny story, but I don't know if we have time. But
is it appropriate?
Well,
if it's not, please tell it. We'll make time, and then we got to go.
It is appropriate, actually.
Damn it.
So I have a funny story, somewhat related to that.
Get the Cliff Notes version.
This is a really short version. So a buddy of mine has a dad who's, let's just say, he's a girthy man. Okay, good guy, but he's a girthy fellow.
Okay.
And, so he was getting out of his truck. I don't remember what he was doing, but he happened to be getting out of his truck, and he heard like a pow. And then he carried a gun like across his belly in like a little holster, like Seinfeld style or whatever. And he heard like this pop, and he didn't think nothing of it. He went inside and told his wife, "Dang, honey, my gun went off in the truck. I don't know what happened, but I didn't see a hole in the door, nothing." And didn't think nothing of it. Went and got in the shower. His wife happened to walk by. "Honey, what's that blood in the right there in the shower?" And he looked down like, "Damn it, I shot myself." He had like this big old belly. I mean, big old belly kind of guy. Like I said, he's a girthy fella. The bullet went like right through his fat, like just shot across.
He didn't even know?
Through his belly and out the fat, and it was just all fat, so you didn't feel it.
There's probably not really any nerves in the fat, right?
He didn't feel it because it was just like all in the belly there. So,
sweetheart, was that always an Audi? All right, that is funny. And by the way, I know it's we shouldn't say this because people are like, "That's why you shouldn't own firearms." But when I'm feeling down, I just watch the firearm mishaps, the funny ones on YouTube. So the guy's practicing. One of the guys practicing his quick draw. He's like, gets up there and he does his walk, and he, "Oh damn it! I shot myself." It's just so.
We know that guy.
You see the one with the big fella shooting the Beretta like this?
Oh yeah.
Talking about the guy in the big blue shirt.
Yeah.
Fella shooting the Beretta.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What do you know him or?
Oh no, I don't know him. I just think it's a funny video.
It is. Yeah, it is. Is that the one where he has like the extended magazine? I think. Is that the one? Does he have
it's a normal Beretta, but like he's like fanning the trigger like this. It's really funny.
Well, you know what? We laugh at him, but the truth is, when the apocalypse comes, I'll be going to his house or yours. IraqVeteran8888. You'll be with us in Fort Worth, Texas, on April 8th at the annual Second Amendment Awards. So, looking forward to it, guys, and hopefully we can do some more content while we're there.
We will. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, guys. We have to go. We have Ben Shapiro coming up next. So, that's a contrast. It'll be fun.
It just isn't done that well.
Hey there, live read time, but it's for nobody else except ourselves today. Listen, thank you so much for everyone who's been paying attention to what's going on YouTube, and we've had an incredible influx in signups for the Mug Club, CRTV members, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. That's where you get the daily show. That's where you get Not Gay Jared's show. Morning Grinders, you get Levin, Malkin. You know, a lot of people, they see what's happening on YouTube and say, well, we should create an alternative. We need to create a different platform. And there are other platforms right now, but there aren't other platforms that actually support an entertainment business, a news business. There aren't any out there. So there are other platforms where you can go and you can get content for free, but there are no other platforms right now that allow you to proactively support content creators out there. And that's why we created the Mug Club. That's why we partnered up with CRTV. It's $99 annually, $69 for students, veterans, or military if you sign up through the louderwithcrowder.com Mug Club portal. And what it does is it allows us, you've probably seen, we've created more free content. It allows us to give you more free content. It's one of those things where kind of like when you realize you don't care anymore, your senior year at school, so all of a sudden it doesn't matter what the teachers say, you just walk out of class. That's probably a horrible example, but I did it a few times. Having enough people who are supportive on the network at Mug Club, and actually, again, getting content for this subscription for less than $6 a month is what allows us to not care and upload as much free content as we want on YouTube, because we're not beholden to them. We don't care about their advertisers. If they want to try and throttle us, fine. So the more people who join, there's strength in numbers, then it allows us to bring on some really new, exciting names, people who you've probably heard as guests on this show quite frequently, who will be there very soon. So, and of course, you help keep Jared and Courtney and Casey and Brodigan and Francine and Edward and Scott and all these people employed. This is the only thing they do. This is all we do. They work tirelessly, often 12-hour shifts to try and get this show up to you. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Join now or forever hold your free content.
Dark Knight here. I don't require the use of firearms because I work out so much. But most of you out there do. Like my faithful sidekick Robin, he's always packing for reasons that are self-explanatory. In today's world, it pays to be careful, which is why you can join the Dark Knight on April 8th in Fort Worth for the annual Second Amendment Awards put on by the United States Concealed Carry Association. Go to 2AAwards.com to enjoy a night filled with special guests. Steven Crowder, Not Gay Jared, IraqVeteran8888, Tim Kennedy, and more. Alfred! Alfred, we're taping a commercial! Alfred, you're supposed to knock in the bat cave! I don't care how old you are! I have a good mind to kick the ever-loving shit out of you, Alfred! We're taping! We're taping in 4K! It's expensive, Alfred!
And I don't want nobody. And I don't want nobody. You got that right.
All right, glad to bring in this next. I don't want to dance too long because he looks busy. He's at a hotel, which means he's on the road. You know his show, Ben Shapiro Show at Daily Wire. The reason we're having him on, actually, is because I think it's been 2 months since we've had him on the free YouTube show.
Has it been that long?
We have him on the Mug Club Daily Show all the time, and people are like, oh, why don't you have Ben Shapiro on? Well, it's like we do. You're just cheap. So, Ben Shapiro, glad to have you here, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I'm at this hotel, and I make sure that when I'm in a hotel room, I'm only here with single women, not my wife, just to make sure the leftists are pleased.
Isn't that one of those? I mean, it's pretty mainstream in a lot of Christian denominations. Muslims.
It's mainstream in Judaism, my friend. Like Orthodox Jews, there's a national name for it. It's called yichud, right? You're not supposed to be in seclusion with women who are not your wife. It's something I actually abide by. The idea is that I'll go out to dinner with a woman in a public place, or who's a business colleague, or if I'm having a meeting with a woman, I'll try and leave the door open. So that, by the way, that's good practice generally. So you're not accused of sexual harassment. I mean, look at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz got accused of having sex with every woman he ever shook hands with. in the middle of that campaign, and everybody was looking at that on our side going, wait, Ted Cruz? Like, really?
Yeah.
And Donald Trump was like, the National Enquirer is a real publication. They deserve a Pulitzer Prize. And we're like, what the F?
Yeah.
Like, he would
And
be
one
served by keeping the Mike Pence rule, apparently.
Well, one of them that he stooped was her, one of her surrogates, and that's when he was like, he backed off, like, well, except Katrina Pearson. We're like, okay, well, we get it. Remember, there was a picture.
And then Katrina's response was amazing. It was, well, yeah, so I didn't have sex with Ted Cruz, but I can't speak for all the other women. I was like, boy.
Yeah.
That's a spokesperson right there that you can really trust with your life.
Well, you know what? That's another interesting point. So getting beyond the moral side of it, we talked about this quite a bit earlier on in the program. As a public figure, it's a very prudent practice. People need to understand that. I mean, you probably had at least one or two crazy fans. We have, and they'll say anything. And so you can't put yourself in a position where they can just snap a picture and say, "Look, Ben Shapiro was here with this person." And they'll run with it. So
100% right. Is 100% right. Now, out of respect for my wife, I wouldn't want that to be even if it were completely false, which I hope it would be. Even if something like that were completely false, I wouldn't want my wife to be in a position of now having to take questions on like, was I stooping some random fan or something. I mean, like the idea that people don't know about this sort of thing in public is just absurd, and it's just a slap against Pence generally. And beyond which, I mean, the idea that Pence is respectful enough of his marriage, and obviously something that his wife cares about, to not put himself in a situation like he's not saying. They're implying that what he's saying is that every time he goes out with a woman to dinner, that it's a potential sex mate, and that's not what he's saying at all. First of all, would it be any better for the feminists if he narrowed it down? If he was like, yeah, I go to dinner with all the ugly ones, just the hot ones I never go to dinner with. Like, you think that would make it better for the feminists?
But that's reality. The truth is, you and I both know with our wives, if there was a picture taken like, oh, I know that work colleague, she's kind of, but if you were snapped with some gorgeous 10, it'd be, what's this about? Let's just be realistic here. And most feminists are in the former category. But I agree with you, Ben. Just beat them behind closed doors. I think that's the best solution here.
Yeah, no,
beat them mercilessly behind closed doors.
I wasn't going to go there, but now that you say it, I'm still not going to go there.
It's a good way to keep them in line. No, it really is remarkable. First off, it's not like we're saying, it's Islam, where if a woman isn't dressed in full ninja outfit, we can't be trusted. Listen, first off, you are putting limitations on yourself because we are men. And men, particularly in a situation which is by design a romantic situation. A dinner date is a romantic situation. That's why it's one of the first things you ask a woman, hey, you want to grab dinner sometime? That, combined with alcohol at many of these functions, and yes, you're a man. Men are sexually attracted to women.
The whole thing's ridiculous.
Well, you brought it up.
At CPAC every year, CPAC was known for years and years. I mean, you know this, dude. CPAC was known for years and years and years as the Stuppen place for young conservative people, right? Yeah. And that was because when you put men and women in close proximity working together, things sometimes happen. That doesn't mean they always happen. It doesn't mean they happen most of the time. But why in the world would you put yourself in a situation where if something goes awry, then you've destroyed your marriage? Like, why would you even do that? And if that's his role, first of all, my guess is that Mike Pence at some point has had a business dinner with somebody who is a woman and a member of his staff. Like, I highly doubt there's that this is like a hard and fast rule where he said, no, I can't do it. I've known this woman for 20 years and we've never had anything going on, but I cannot go to dinner with her even to discuss the budget when he was governor of. Like, I just can't imagine that that's the case. Yeah. But again, here's the thing that's amazing. The left has zero evidence whatsoever, zero, that Pence has ever discriminated against a woman or somehow limited her ability to be in a position of power. So instead, they just make that up, right? They just assume we won't go to dinner with a woman. That must mean he's discriminating against women. Well, you need actual evidence of discrimination in order to accuse somebody of that. That's just absurd. Well, if he did take him out to dinner, they'd bitch that he didn't get her the clam sauce. So it's just no matter what it is, it's never enough. And here, let's be realistic too. Everyone will say it's like, oh, like anyone would want to sleep with Mike Pence. Yes, okay? I'm a straight man. He looks like a G.I. Joe who's aged well. Mike Pence is a good-looking man. He looks like he's straight out of Central Casting. Dude, forget about that. He's been the governor of Indiana. He was in Congress. He's now the vice president of the United States. Newt freaking Gingrich was drawing attractive. Okay, like give me a this has nothing to do with the attractiveness of the guy. Well, that is absolutely true too. Again, that goes back to celebrity. I remember when I started out doing stand-up at 18 years old, performing at Bananas in Hawthorne Heights, New Jersey. Women were lining up just because he had the microphone. I am sorry, it's a sociological phenomenon with fame, and I guarantee you, someone like Governor Pence has had opportunities. So it is, again, there's the moral side to it, and then there's just
pragmatically speaking,
again, I return to Ted Cruz. It has nothing to do with how they look. Like
they want you to believe that he reached for a handshake and then slipped in his wiener when they weren't looking. Like, how'd you do it, Ted?
Yeah, he's not cool enough to be president, but the guy's got game.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's the most disgusting person on earth. They can't believe him. And then again, he had sex with everybody. That Casanova. All right, okay. We could talk about this all day. We've been talking about it for most of the day. Jared blew a gasket when he read the Salon article.
They're insane.
But let's talk about, at this point, people
other
are calling...
insane things?
Yes, other insane things.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you line up right now on the healthcare bill? I'm curious, because I know you were pretty... Obviously, you weren't a big Trump guy.
Yeah, it's a crap bill. It shouldn't have been passed. The only thing that was any good in it
May
was the...
I ask the questions, please?
Okay, fine. Finish your question.
No, finish your thoughts.
Stop shaking your head, April.
Finish your thought. You were okay. It's a crap bill. I was going to say, we both agreed that Donald Trump's actions weren't as bad as his words. Initially, this seems like a real blunder. Okay, go ahead and act as though my question mattered.
Okay, so your question totally didn't matter.
I know.
But the answers do. So here's the answer. Number one, the bill was garbage. The only thing in it that was worthwhile at all was Paul Ryan's shift from Medicaid being on a needs-based grant to the states to being a fixed grant to the states. Mm-hmm. That was a good thing, obviously, and that was the only thing that Ryan cared about. It was poorly rolled out. Basically, I think what happened here was this. Trump said, I want a victory right now. I've made a bunch of promises to people that it's impossible for a conservative to keep. Things like we're going to make sure that pre-existing conditions exist for all of the insurance companies. We're going to increase the number of people who have health insurance. Like, these are all Democrat promises. These are not promises that conservatives make. And so he makes all these promises, and then Ryan somehow has to work within the boundaries that Trump has set for him. One, timeline, and two, here's what has to be in the bill. And so he goes basically back to his basement. He works out a bill just that he thinks is going to pass. He goes back to Trump, and the plan is Ryan will sell it to the establishment crew, and Trump will sell it to the anti-establishment crew. And then it turns out that Ryan can't sell it to the establishment crew. 10 to 15 people on the establishment side aren't interested. And Trump can't sell it to the anti-establishment crew because they look at it and they go, wait a second, this is basically Obamacare light, including a backdoor mandate, including a new entitlement program. Why would we do any of these things? Yeah. And Trump gets pissed, and then he, like a small child, decides to take his ball and go home, and he says, we're not going to do anything now. Yeah. Like, when people say he worked really hard for this bill, Barack Obama worked on Obamacare for 13 months, and he had a supermajority in the Senate, and he worked on it for 13 months. Right. Donald Trump could not be bothered to work on this sucker for 3 full weeks. Yeah. He worked on it for 17 days. So the idea that and the entire time he was saying, well, if it fails, we'll just let Obamacare fail.
How much of this do you think is really, because sometimes I think maybe you're giving his crew too much credit coming in this late in the game. How much of this do you think was actually crafted by President Trump and friends versus Paul Ryan and friends? Because that's obviously the debate.
I think it was crafted by Ryan and friends, but I think it had to fit within certain parameters. And I think those parameters included some of the comments that let's put it this way. If Cruz or Rubio were president, that bill looks very different, because they don't make all the promises that Trump makes on this thing.
But if Ryan were president, does it look pretty much the same?
No, I don't think if Ryan is president, it looks pretty much the same. I think that Ryan would have been interested in curbing a lot more of the regulations that impacted Obamacare. I think he would have been more interested in getting rid of some of the mandates. I think that Trump made certain promises, and those promises were, this is the dirty little secret here, is that Trump wins. Everybody thinks all differences have been glossed over, and now we're all going to march together in lockstep. It doesn't change the fact that Trump is not actually a traditional conservative in any real sense. He himself is a populist. Okay, the populist agenda has crossover with the conservative agenda in certain areas like immigration. But when it comes to actual entitlement programs, it has almost no crossover. In fact, they're directly at odds. And so this is a real problem for this particular bill. And then it doesn't help that Trump really, in the cockles of his heart, Trump really deeply wants to move to work with Democrats, because he really is sort of a centrist figure politically. I mean, these guys spent a lot of years giving money to Democrats, and so immediately his first move is to throw under the bus all the Freedom Caucus members. Now, what's funny is that the Freedom Caucus members and I have the same position on this bill, but the Freedom Caucus members were huge backers of Trump during the actual campaign. Right. Now, I don't get to talk here because I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for Trump or Hillary. I thought both of them sucked. Yeah. But, the Freedom Caucus guys like Mark Meadows, who's the head of the Freedom Caucus, campaigned a lot for Trump. Yeah, Jim Jordan campaigned for Trump. Right. Mark Meadows campaigned. Who else am I thinking?
Wait, hold on. Is Justin Amash in that caucus? Because I know
Justin Amash is in that caucus.
He did not. Right. He was not a big fan of Trump. He's kind of.
He did not.
Yeah.
He did not. But let's put it this way. If you're going to look at the level of enthusiasm in the Freedom Caucus for Trump versus the level of enthusiasm in the general Republican base for Trump, much higher in the Freedom Caucus than normal. I mean, Louis Gohmert was a big Trump fan. Sure. I love Louis. I mean, these are all good people, and they were all big Trump fans, and they're basically even now, while he's crapping all over them, and he is on Twitter like every day now, crapping all over them, they keep going back to him like wounded kittens going, please be nice to us. We understand that we really want to craft something with you. And Trump's like, no, you guys are terrible. I'm working with Democrats, which, by the way, is totally delusional. The Democrats aren't interested in working with Trump.
Okay, well, let's
just want to step on his face. The Democrat, he's got a 9% approval rating among Democrats right now. They hate Trump so much that they're about to filibuster Neil Gorsuch for no reason and destroy their only capacity to filibuster the actual fifth vote.
I actually hope they do. I think that's good for us if they filibuster Gorsuch, because the guy has just he's been handling this so well. That's kind of the one the one ray of light in these last couple of weeks has been Neil Gorsuch. Agreed. I've been watching it going like, oh my, if I were to craft somebody who could answer these questions more, I couldn't write it more perfectly. But let me zone in on this here, because I can already see the comment section. Of course, few anti-Semitic comments. You know this. I know this. This is YouTube. Jew gold. And to me too, by the way, even though I'm a Gentile, this is just the way it works online. But here's the deal. People are saying, okay, Trump's trying to compromise and get something passed as opposed to nothing and let Barack Obama, Obamacare be cemented. What do you think is the best case scenario moving forward? Obviously, Democrats are going to be 100% against any kind of repealing. You're going to have a lot of establishment Republicans against a full repeal. What needs to be done, and what do you think actually, pragmatically speaking, can be done?
Compromise with whom? I think that when they say that Trump wanted to compromise, the answer is with whom? Who is he compromising with? Now we're learning that members of the Tuesday group in Congress won't even take calls from the Freedom Caucus. And the Freedom Caucus is saying, let's get together and figure this thing out right now. Right. And they won't do it. So when it comes to trying to figure out where they go next, look, here's my preferred prescription. Donald Trump should work with Paul Ryan to pass a clean repeal bill in the House. He'll never do it. Paul Ryan should just pass a clean repeal bill in the House, put Republicans on record if they will actually vote for a clean repeal bill or not, and then send it to the Senate and make Mitch McConnell do the same thing. And do as much as you can under reconciliation. They did this in 2015. Do as much as you can under reconciliation. If you can't do it under reconciliation, fine. Make the Democrats filibuster in favor of Obamacare. Okay. Why is that so terrible?
But is there any problem with the fact that your plan sort of rests on the shoulders of Paul Ryan, who in many instances recently has been one big walking vagina?
Listen, the whole part of the problem is that Paul Ryan has been considered this great conservative standard bearer for a while. I've never been a big Paul Ryan fan, and the fact is that there is this weird idea in Congress that it is not your job to pass the things that your constituents voted for. It is your job to craft consensus and pass something that will actually pass through all the branches of Congress. No, that's not how the Constitution was created. It wasn't supposed to be everybody from all the branches get together and then they all get in a back room and they hash out what they're going to vote for. It was supposed to be a lot of mess. It was supposed to be a lot of back and forth. It was supposed to be people punching each other politically. And I don't know why that goes away just because Trump is president. So my view is this. Look, Trump can either do the right thing here or he can do the wrong thing here. But Congress has a responsibility to pass things that they said that they were going to pass. And this is a massive broken promise by a bunch of Republicans who for 7 years said they were going to repeal this thing first chance they got. And then immediately within 3 weeks said, we're not going to repeal this thing. We're leaving Obamacare in place. There's no excuse for it.
No, there's no excuse for it. And I can definitely see why people are upset. I can see why people are upset with President Trump, but I can't stand Paul Ryan. And I'll tell you why. First off, many reasons. Okay, but what really started it was when he was running for president with Mitt Romney, and he did that AC Slater pose, P90X, with the dumbbell in that magazine spread with his stupid little short shorts and his hairy little thighs. I was thinking, what is this guy thinking? This is the most traumatizing image I've ever seen from someone in national office. You don't remember this?
I don't remember this.
He was like, I work out, and he had his baseball cap on backwards.
Oh, yeah, it was horrifying, yeah.
Yeah, so that, and that was actually...
Screech from Saved by the Bell doing pull-ups.
Exactly. Yeah. It was horrible. And then, obviously, the fact that people tried to act as though, like you said, he was this conservative standard bearer, and people in the know, for lack of a better word, knew that wasn't the case. I felt that same way about Eric Cantor,
That's right.
to a much greater extent.
Oh, yeah, all the young guns, yeah.
Yeah. Eric Cantor was really bad, but I kind of put Paul Ryan in that same boat. So I'm between, I get it. I'm disappointed all around with this last week, but I certainly would like to see Paul Ryan and the rest of Republicans, not only Donald Trump here, grow some balls and do what they said they were going to do. I actually thought they wanted to repeal this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we all thought they wanted to repeal this thing. Look, is it Paul Ryan's fault? Yes, it's Paul Ryan's fault. Was Paul Ryan working within the constraints that were created by Donald Trump? Yes, he was working within those constraints as well. So there's enough blame to go around on all of this. And it's really up to Paul Ryan to stand up to his caucus and say, okay, we're going to craft something that the right of our party can approve. Otherwise, we're not going to go forward with any of this stuff. And it seems to me that you never, I mean, I've said this on your show before, I hate these giant omnibus packages where you've got like a 120-page package because you think that that's somehow going to get everybody on board. the easiest thing to do, because Republicans could not say no to voting for it, would be a clean repeal. Right? One Republican who's going to spend 7 years saying we're going to repeal it, and then the minute there's a bill that says we're going to repeal it, they say no.
What about
right?
what about Rand Paul's 4-page proposition? I mean, I know it on its
Rand Paul's proposition was much better than this. I mean, I think that there are a number of ways to do this. This was not the way to do it. The artificial deadline was not the way to do it. And then the fact that Trump immediately turned, it was almost like kabuki theater. The fact that he immediately turned on the Freedom Caucus, and it turned into Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and Trump all ripping on the Freedom Caucus, these terrible purists who won't go along with the program. It's like, wait a second. I was under the impression from all of your fans that you were Captain Anti-Establishment, and yet here you are making nice with Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and Democrats, and crapping all over the Freedom Caucus, which is the Tea Party caucus in the Congress.
Yeah. My biggest concern there is I don't even know how Mitch McConnell ties a tie because there's no neck. I've got to imagine he just picks a spot and has to cinch it, and it's just sort of a guessing game at a certain point.
Well, first he puts it on over his turtle shell, and then he slides it up as his head comes out of the shell.
Yes, he took the Turtles Club membership a little literally, Mitch McConnell.
That's exactly right.
Okay, Ben Shapiro, the Ben Shapiro Show, available at Daily Wire. Ben, what else? Where else can people find you, or what are you up to right now that people should be looking for?
You can check out my podcast over at SoundCloud or iTunes. It's a Ben Shapiro Show, and obviously Daily Wire is where we put all of our stuff. I also write a piece once a week for National Review, and you can check that out as well.
Of course, and there are loads of single women in that hotel room, just beyond the lens of the camera. Let it be known on the record, Ben Shapiro.
Right behind this curtain, right here.
Yes, exactly. Actually, just Paul Ryan. Can I come out now? We will be back with more after this. Ben, thank you so much, brother. We had him on. We had him on. The following advertisement has been paid for by Big Squirrel. Sheldon Acornson of Squirrelceuticals here. It's been brought to my attention that many of you Louder with Crowder viewers have been joining #MugClub. But have you been doing so out of your own free will? Or have you been conned? Just what false claims are Hopper and the crew at Louder with Crowder making about this so-called Mug Club? Sure, you get access to Louder with Crowder's exclusive daily programming along with Mark Levin, Michelle Malkin, Not Gay Jared's Morning Grinders, and more. But what's the price of your integrity? Why wouldn't you continue to exclusively support a platform like YouTube with a proven track record of quality programming? And the Young Turks. And are all these claims about Mug Club true? For example, Hopper claimed in a clinical trial that Mug Club was proven to enhance pet food nutrition absorption by 44%. But upon closer review, the trial wasn't placebo-controlled double-blind. Doesn't sound like the gold standard to me. What's Hopper trying to hide? They claim that those who sign up at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub who are students, veterans, or military get it at a discount for $69. But do you really? I guess you'll have to find out at checkout. So stand with me, Sheldon Acornson of Big Squirrelceuticals and YouTube. louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub? I think not. What was that? No, stop it. That's not acceptable.
Jared always
not
dies.
Good behavior.
He always dies in
that. That is not acceptable behavior. Thank you so much to Ben Shapiro, IraqVeteran8888 for a great show. Of course, thank you, people who've subscribed to the Mug Club this week. There have been a lot with the YouTube controversy. I know a lot of you people work day jobs, working class people who watch this show, or people who are in college. This is everyone's job here. So Mug Club is what allows us to do that and not be beholden to places like YouTube. This is actually people work 10, 12, 14-hour days to get these shows up. And the support this last week has been outstanding. So I think YouTube has been a real wake-up call with what's been happening with a lot of people. And I think we're going to see a real changing of the guards here.
Don't take your free crap for granted.
It could all go away. That was Amy Schumer's Barbie contract. Oh, God. That's just what happened.
Allahu Akbar, thank you.
I bet you that meeting just went. She just walked in. She's like, "Okay, so as far as the Barbie film," they said, "What film?"
What film?
She said, "No. Where I'm going to be playing Barbie. I have some ideas for Ken. I don't know what you're talking about."
Is this a new stand-up routine you're doing?
It's in my contract. What contract?
I don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes you just do that when you're a kid and you just buried it. You just bury into that lie. I don't know. And you know that they know you know, but you're at this point, there's no way to come clean. You said, no idea. No idea what you're talking about. Yep. I did that once.
You did?
Did that once. I told you when I had a booger on my face. And a girl was like, she just said, oh my God, you have a booger. And I was talking to her. She like called her friends over to see it. It was so embarrassing. She couldn't just tell me. And then just like when they were all laughing, I just went, and like, oh, do you not feel that? I said, feel what? I said, you had a booger on your face. I said, no, I didn't.
This is Hillary last week's show.
Exactly. I just said, no, I didn't. I said, you just had a booger on your face. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. No. I wanted to crawl into myself and die.
Oh,
I just said, I'm just going to deny that this has ever happened. I don't know. You must be mistaken. I'm afraid you're mistaken, sir. Big shows next week. We have Owen Benjamin. We have Kirby Martin, the girl who wore the Meninist shirt, who pissed off all the people. Saw that over there at student. What's that? I just forgot the name of the college fix. I don't know what it is. It's conservative college. Anyways, we have a few big guests next week. Really looking forward to it. And listen, if we're talking about one sort of theme this week, I think there are a couple of things that are important. First off, you see this outrage with Mike Pence. We were talking about Generation Z. Fewer people identify as feminists than ever. We were talking about the Second Amendment, and becoming complacent. It's important to remember that fuse can be lit for anti-Second Amendment policy. It can be 2 years, can be 4 years, can maybe be 2 terms down the line. People under Ronald Reagan's presidency were not thinking about the assault weapons ban coming under the Clinton presidency. It's one thing to think of where you are today, and that's important, obviously, but it really is... it's pivotal for everyone to think about 3-4 years down the line. And YouTube's not doing that, and I think they're going to see some really negative ramifications. But just as you can plant these really negative seeds, we were talking about that with these kids who in Los Angeles schools, they don't know anything about this pseudo racism card constantly played by Black Lives Matter. People our age or people who are baby boomers, it's not the world that they've been raised in. So we can understand that we're having a conversation, but they just see... my school's being screwed because we're 70% white. They don't understand it. You've planted a seed there that can be really dangerous. It can grow into something absolutely horrible. Just as surely with the Second Amendment, we were talking about making that accessible. You plant a seed there when we take Scott, our EEP, first time out there shooting. You make it a positive experience. You plant that seed for someone else to teach someone else, and it can be 2-3 generations down the line. It's important to not get complacent and just think about the here and now, but understand what could happen a couple generations. And I guarantee you that with Barack Obama under that presidency, if you'd have told him that the Generation Z, the generation being raised under his presidency, was going to become the most conservative ever, he wouldn't have believed you.
No, he thought he was making a real difference at that kind of stuff. I think he thought he was. I think people think they have more power and influence like that than they really have. That they can actually just a couple policies and change culture. They don't realize that you can create a really ugly rebound effect.
Yeah. Well, he was trading on the futures of the next generation to pay off previous generations.
Yeah.
It's kind of Social Security is a great metaphor for that. And so there's a real opportunity there with younger people out there, but you need to be forward thinking. And that's one thing when we're talking about this healthcare bill or Donald Trump or Paul Ryan and some of the moves that Republicans are making. We need to not just understand that right now people think just trolling online is fun and MAGA hats. And I get it. But you do need to be aware that there's an entire generation of people who are watching you and you are planting seeds. And at a certain point, everything that's going on right now, the hysteria, loving that liberals are upset and triggered, and we love it just as much as everybody else. But if there's no principle there, if there are no values there to instill in someone else, you cannot plant seeds. And they're going to get bored of this. And they're just going to go back to the left because it's basically an anti-establishment sentiment. I mean, you kind of see that. Anti-establishment sentiment doesn't really get you very far. Right, that's what happened with Donald Trump. He became president, and now he's working with the establishment against the anti-establishment Freedom Caucus. And people aren't... So it doesn't really get you so far. You get that rebound effect, just like we talked about with Barack Obama when he was a president. All of a sudden, firearms were scarce. Ammo was scarce. Prices went up. But that only gets you so far, because once that's gone, it's not really a belief. It's not really a deeply held value. So we are in a time where there's been a door opened. And there's an unbelievable opportunity. But you need to be aware of the seed that you're planting, both on the negative side. We talked about with Los Angeles and the Mike Pence, the reaction. You're going to turn off an entire generation of young women, just like, please, filibuster Gorsuch. I would be thrilled if you do.
Weeks of show material.
But on the plus side, on the positive side, with the Second Amendment right now, I've seen a lot of people get complacent. A lot of people not really discussing issues that matter to them because they think, Donald Trump's just going to fix it for the rest of us. Be aware that there are people who are going to walk through that door a few years down the line. And be aware that that threshold can be an entirely different experience. So, obviously, operating in the moment is important, but don't get caught up on it. And don't lose sight of where things can be, because they can change so quickly, so radically, and sometimes they change precisely because of the decisions that you make today. Did that sound like it mattered? I hope it sounded like it mattered. Talk to you next week.